What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story comes from Help Me Please from the Relationship Advice subreddit. And it says, my roommate's 21 female parents keep letting themselves into my 21 female apartment with a spare key my roommate gave them. Background, my parents are family friends with my roommate's parents. I was never really friends with my roommate in high school, but got to know her from living with her in a dorm. Recently, my parents got me an apartment and pay rent every month, so pretty much roommate's parents don't pay. Over the past few months, when we come home from class, we have walked in on 1. Her mum doing our laundry almost every week. 2. Her mum cooking food and cleaning for us. 3. Her mum cleaning my fucking closet and calling me a slur for having tube tops and mini skirts, etc. 4. Her mum and dad chilling at the apartment Friday nights to make sure we don't party. I just can't deal anymore. I told my roommate to tell them to stop, but she said I'm overreacting. Am I overreacting? Should I tell my parents? I've lost my mind. Literally. Help. Goddess of the Tree says to OP, oh my god, fucking helicopter psychos. Tell her to have this stop immediately. This is a gross invasion of your space. Your home is supposed to be your sanctuary. If they continue, get the locks changed ASAP. OP says, I can't. The building management doesn't allow lock changes, and everyone is allowed to have a spare, so they can't help. She doesn't seem to think it's a big deal either. Radical says, well, it isn't a big deal to her. They are her parents. The three of them are entitled to treat each other whatever way they like, but they are not your parents. They're not entitled to treat you as they do her. Darkwing says, why did you let them freeload and invade your privacy? Tell your parents and give your roommate notice to get out by the end of the month. OP says, when I was supposed to move out, her parents didn't want her to have a new roommate on campus. Had no problem with her up until we moved out of campus housing. So I didn't mind her moving in with me. My parents didn't mind it at all either. Edits. I've tried asking them for their set of spare keys back after a month after we moved in, and it ended in them yelling at me about how disrespectful I am to older people. I also tried to go through her mum's purse a few weeks ago, which I probably shouldn't have done, and got caught by my roommate. She was really upset about it, which I totally understand, and haven't tried getting it back since. Mini update. I took out edit 1 to shorten the post. I told my older brother about what happened, emailed my building manager, and was able to get a response from him saying that I can put a lock on my bedroom door. Me and my brother went to Home Depot and got a basic lock. Her mum is currently cooking in the kitchen and watching my brother fix the lock. She doesn't look too happy. I'll update you all again when I tell my parents. Edits, and sorry for all the edits, but I think I need to clarify something. The reason my roommate isn't paying rent is because her parents hit a tough spot financially last winter, and my dad wanted to ease the burden on them a little. He said he would help out by giving my roommate a place to stay so her parents could just worry about her tuition and not room and board. Edit 2. I'm gonna tell my parents about it. I just didn't want to ruin their friendship as they were close friends for a long time. That's absolutely wild, so OP's parents are generously letting the roommate live rent-free, and the so-called thank you here is constantly having your privacy invaded, being called slurs for your clothes and being called slurs for your clothes. I mean, the entitlement here is just beyond anything, right? I mean, you're talking about a bedroom lock here. I mean, it's a start, but honestly, the roommate needs to go. Her parents are not going to respect your boundaries, and the roommate doesn't seem to see a problem with it because she accepts this control. I think it's absolutely time to be done with this nonsense, but Nookie Ninja says, no offense, but it kind of annoys me that you can't just be direct. Stand up for what's yours. Your space, your privacy, your life. What happens if you want to bring someone over to fuck or something? I'll be blatantly direct about this issue. They need boundaries set sternly in front of them. Opie says I deleted one of my edits to shorten the post, but I've been direct multiple times with my roommate and her parents. Every time I tell her something, I get shut down with, "How can you talk to someone older than you with no respect?" Another commenter says, "This happened to me. I went to college in a beach town and my roommate's parents co-signed for her. Soon after she moved in, she also moved out to become a stripper and live with some dudes. Anyway, so it was just me in a strange town, and suddenly every weekend her mum would come stay at my apartment with the mum's boyfriend. I'd come home from class Friday and they'd just casually be cooking dinner. It was awkward as fuck, and I had to go to the landlord, and the mum at one point literally begged me and said her daughter is a drug addict and she'd given her this one last chance. Thanks a lot. And she is stuck on the lease for paying the rent for a year, so she should at least be able to use it as a vacation house. I finally had to consult a lawyer and the landlords to explain that a cosigner doesn't mean tenant. When I was like 19. Anyway, that was the first year of my college experience that only got 1,000 times worse." So, the next day, Opie came in with an update and said, "I came back from my morning run around 7 a.m. this morning, and roommate's mum and roommate were in the kitchen making some coffee. She has never been there this early before. I decided to talk to them about everything prior to going to class. I started off with, 'Hey auntie, can we talk?' In brown culture, everyone is called an aunt, and these are some points I listed. 1. I appreciate that she's been cooking and cleaning, but I want to do that on my own. I love to cook and felt that I was never allowed in my own kitchen. I also told her that I want to do my own laundry and clean my room myself. 2. I don't want her in my room. I reminded her that I had talked to her about this when it first happened, and that's why I put a lock on the door. 3. I told her that if she wants to be with roommate, to let roommate text me and let me know that roommate's mum would be in the apartment. I expressed understanding and I hugged it out with roommate's mum. Before going to class, I put on a load of laundry. My friend is having a birthday dinner today, and I decided to wear this cute white dress with an open back. My mum even got me this dress since she thought it was so cute, and tossed it in the washer so it could be fresh for tonight. I asked roommate's mum multiple times if she was planning on doing laundry today, and she said no. I told her that I'll be back around 1, and she can do laundry when I finish mine later this afternoon if needed. I didn't want her touching my clothes. She was okay with it and said that roommate didn't have laundry today. Cool. I left feeling really relieved, but I still locked my bedroom door. I got back to my apartment about half hour ago, and I couldn't find my white dress. As soon as I came home, roommate looked nervous. My clothes were in the dryer, and I didn't do that for a fact. Roommate's mum states that I put them in the dryer and just forgot. Ugh. I locked myself in my room, and I know she probably took the dress as it was something she wouldn't approve of. When I was in my room, I heard roommate's mum talking to roommate in our language. She told her daughter something along the lines of, "I don't know why she's freaking out about that dress. In India, escorts and prostitutes wear those kinds of clothing." And she went on to tell R that I won't find a husband wearing stuff like this. I honestly think she wanted me to hear all of that. Is she seriously just being a passive-aggressive bitch to me right now? I'm trying so hard not to break down and cry. I'm heading over to my parents right now and I'm telling them everything when they come back home tonight. I'll keep you posted. So it was 2 days later that OP came back in with another update and said, "Okay guys, I'm sorry for updating you guys late and for the super long post, but I wanted to make sure I get important details in there. When I left my apartment yesterday to go to my parents' house, I forgot to take my credit card. I walked back up to my apartment and roommate was studying while roommate's mum was watching TV. Roommate's mum asked me where I was going, and I told her away from you. I guess that pissed her off, because she got up and started yelling about how bad of a parent my mum is by teaching me how to go around the city with different guys and talk back to adults. I was so frustrated, I ended up cussing her out. This got her really, really mad, and she ran to the kitchen and grabbed a wooden spoon from one of the drawers. This crazy bitch was going to hit me with a wooden spoon. I ran out of my apartment as fast as I could to my car, and I honestly could not stop laughing. This was insane. Seriously, I think roommate's mum is crazy and needs a mental health checkup. Seriously, I'm very worried for her well-being. My mum was home along with my brother's girlfriend and her parents. I told them everything that happened and no one liked what they heard. My mum called my dad to tell him what happened. When my dad came home, he hugged me immediately and started crying. Me being called a prostitute and a slur was too much for him to handle. I've never seen Dad cry before, and it hurt me so bad. My mum called roommate and RD, which is roommate's dad maybe, and roommate's mum to come over to talk. They came over immediately. They probably knew something was up from the tone of my mum's voice, so she was close to growling. My mum was being petty though when they came home, so she didn't allow them inside. She made them stand on the doorstep the whole time, and I could tell this was pissing roommate's mum off. Some points of the confrontation. 1. Why are you calling my daughter these names? Roommate's mum said, I didn't say anything, she's making up lies. 2. Why are you even in the apartment that much? You told us you go there once a month to check on roommate. You also said she visits you every weekend. Roommate's mum says the kids don't know how to cook, so I help. Also, kids are busy studying, so they need it. 3. Why is a 50-year-old man in my daughter's apartment? No answer. 4. Why are you going through my daughter's stuff? Why does she need a lock? Why are you limiting my daughter's times with her friends? No answer. I shall also mention that roommate's dad was sitting in their car on the driveway during this whole confrontation. But things got heated up really quickly. Roommate's mum started insulting my parents. She said my mum is a bad mum because she never disciplined her children. She said I am unruly and that the clothes I wear are despicable. She brought up clothes a shit ton, like this lady is really offended by my fashion sense. This annoyed my brother, and he showed roommate's mum Instagram pictures of roommates wearing more revealing clothing than me and sitting on boys' laps. Roommate's mum shut her mouth about my clothes immediately. She then proceeded to try and insult my parents' professions by saying they have God complexes. This pissed my brother off to the brink, and he replied with, you own 3 subways and are almost broke, but we never say anything about it. This pushed roommate's mum off the edge, and she leaned in closer to my brother and attempted to slap him. This lady tried to slap my 24-year-old brother in front of my parents. They argued more, and my mum asked where the dress was again. This time she walked away to their car and pulled my dress out of her purse. She came back to where we were standing and literally threw the dress in my face. My mum had no more patience left and backslapped roommate's mum across her face. I've never seen my mum raise her hand on anyone, and I burst out laughing. Even my dad had to walk back inside to keep himself from laughing in front of roommate's mum. Roommate's mum started crying and she was going to call the cops on us. When they left, we had a big discussion. My parents were angry that I never told them about this before. They said they got me that apartment so I could do what I wanted. They wanted me to be able to have friends over, have a place to chill, and have a place without parental influence. However, they're very proud and happy with the way I dealt with the situation and said calling the cops would unnecessarily escalate the situation that could be solved by talking. Thank you for all the advice. I appreciate it a lot. They were mad at my brother because they said he shouldn't have shown those pictures of R because now she has to deal with that trouble at home. R being the roommate. My parents agreed that letting roommate live in my apartment without consulting me first was wrong on their part. My parents started the eviction process today. Anyways, it may be hard to believe, but I do stand up for myself a lot. It's just in this situation, I didn't want to do anything that would offend my parents because I had respect for their friendship and I didn't want to ruin it or do something that would embarrass my parents. I learned from this, and I have growing up to do. But now that I know I have support, I won't worry about petty shit like this later. I also don't want to live alone, so one of my best friends from high school is going to be my new roommate. No, she isn't Indian. No one is living rent-free in this situation. I would also like to say that even though I wasn't friends with roommate in high school, living with her for 2 years did help me make a bond with her. I don't know if we can be friends after this, but it feels bad losing a friend. Also, my parents are liberal ass Indians. They have lived here in America for over 40 years. They didn't want to spy on me at all. They don't mind me wearing skirts or tube tops or having guy friends over. TLDR, my family helped and we're getting her evicted. Edit 1, I forgot to add, for those of you guys who think that my parents paying my rent and tuition doesn't make me an adult. I don't think it does. I'm so blessed to my parents who want to make sure that their kids graduate without debt. Also, it's my parents' money. Let do what they want. This gives me no excuse to have a GPA less than a 4.0. Edit 2. I took out the part where roommate tried to threaten me with a wooden spoon to shorten the post. It was funny though. I included most of the important points. If something doesn't make sense, I'll reply in the comments. The cops are yet to show up. And edit 4, guys, we forgot to ask for the key back. Fucking damn it. Never mind, roommate's dad dropped them off at my parents this morning. False alarm. Salty Royal says to OP, fellow Indian girl here who heavily relates to dealing with aunties with boundary issues. People who are saying that this is fake must not be familiar with brown culture. Lol. I've been following your post and so glad your parents were so supportive and it worked out for you. OP says thank you. The immense support and understanding I've gotten from fellow brown people is so wonderful. Nashville Nation says, brother with the Insta is a low-key hero. Mum and dad coming to your rescue and defense, no questions asked, is fantastic. I'm sure you do, but make sure to thank your parents, not only for the support of the apartment, but also for their support through this evening and the process that will continue to unfold. Seems like they appreciate and value you, and you them. Never Sleep Ever says, I wish he never brought up the Insta. Her friend probably got beat when they got home. Obi says that's what my parents were worried about. I don't think she would get beat. She might have been slapped or will probably lose the few privileges she has right now. What got me in this story is that OP tried so hard to make things work for everyone involved because she didn't want to ruin her parents' friendship. You know, it's really mature, even if it meant that she was tolerating way too much in the initial part, right? But the moment her dad cried, I can't imagine, that must have been absolutely devastating. And it has to be said, props to her parents for immediately taking her side and starting that eviction process and making roommate's mum stand on the doorstep the whole time. It sounded like a lot of chaos that was going on in this situation, but in the end, it sounds like it worked out well for OP. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now this next story, it comes from LoudAd9189 from the Relationship Advice subreddit. And it says, my 36 male, wife 34 female, fell deep into conspiracy theories and online hate groups. Is there any saving our marriage? Now before we do get into this story, there is a warning on it of domestic violence, so if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. I, 36 male, have been married to my wife, 34 female, for 6 years. We have a 4-year-old daughter, and I really don't want a divorce, but I'm starting to feel like I've run out of options. When we first met, my wife was a kind, brilliant, and outgoing person. Over the past few years, she's changed in ways that really scare me. She's become very involved in online conspiracy spaces and online hate groups, and now spends hours every day scrolling and arguing online. It's like she's living in a different reality. She hasn't held a stable job in about 3 years. She'll take on part-time work, but ends up quitting or getting fired after a few months. Meanwhile, I've become the sole provider and have also taken on most of the parenting. Our daughter loves her mum, but my wife often seems distracted or disengaged, and it breaks my heart to see that. Another issue is she has become more racist over time. It started as an obsessive dislike of a certain celebrity, but it's turned into outright racist comments, particularly towards women of color. She's lost several friendships because of it, and even her family has started to distance themselves. They still check in on me and our daughter, but they've made it clear that they don't know how to reach her anymore. I've begged her to try therapy. She actually did for a few months once, and for a little while I saw glimpses of the person she used to be. But she quit, and everything went back to the way it was. I'm emotionally exhausted and worried about the environment our daughter is growing up in. I don't want her picking up these beliefs or thinking this level of disconnection is normal. That said, I'm also terrified of what divorce might do to her. I always believed in trying everything before walking away, and I don't want to feel like I gave up too soon. That's why I'm thinking about asking my wife to go to couples therapy. Maybe she'd be more open to it since it won't be just her. My question is, how do I even bring this up? Would it be wrong to tell her that I'm considering divorce if she refuses? I don't want it to sound like a threat. I just want her to understand how serious things have gotten. I love her and want to believe there's still a way forward, but I can't keep doing this by myself. If anyone has been in a similar situation with a partner who's fallen deep into conspiracies or become resistant to therapy, how did you approach it? I really want to try everything I can before making such a painful decision. It's incredibly sad to see for OP because, he's seen who his wife used to be before all this went down. And I can certainly see how this sort of things happen. What I do online, I have to scroll social media quite often, and you can just see, even more so these days, hate-filled content. A lot of it clearly rage baiting for views, etc. But people get wrapped up in it, causes arguments. There's and below them, it's just constant arguing. And there's accounts based off it because they make a lot of money doing the rage bait. And at some point, even if you're not engaging in it or whatever, even if you're just scrolling past it, you just realize that you're scrolling through hate and outrage, and it just pisses off your day, right? But in this situation, your wife's not just doom scrolling. She seems to have abandoned her family for it. 3 years unemployed, racist comments, driving away friends, and seemingly checked out from parenting. Therapy only helps if someone wants to engage in it. Sure, you can try couples therapy, but in the end, you have to do what's best for your child because your 4-year-old will be absorbing all of this. Like we say in previous stories, kids are like sponges, but Ratus says couples therapy only works for couples problems like poor communication. The fact is, she's already lost friends and family over this nonsense, which didn't change her behavior. There's r/QAnon casualties that can offer advice. But as they say, you can't reason her out of a position she didn't reason herself into. Racist ideology tends to be stupid and mind-numbingly dull to those outside of it. She's doing this because of the feelings and emotions this gives her, and not for any logical reason. Bitter Scorpio says deprogramming people from cults is extremely difficult. She will not understand or recognize that she has an issue. She will become further entrenched the more you try and pull her out. If it was me, I'd be documenting all of her extreme behaviors, racism, inability to hold work, the fact that you're the main parent, loss of social and family networks, etc. Documenting that thoroughly, divorcing her and filing for full custody of your kid. Your daughter does not need to be surrounded by egregious behavior. Your first priority should be protecting your kid. Ride Jack Ride says, you face what I did with my brother. Unfortunately, the main problem with all things conspiratorial is the cult members are programmed to reject absolutely everything that refutes their positions. Counseling will only work if she realizes she has an issue. And you can't really use it as a lever because there is no way she will respond to the stick without automatically concluding that you're a part of the cabal/deep state/libtard/them that is out to get her and her cult members. It did not end remotely well with my brother. We are permanently estranged. This Q is strong with the Q nuts. OP says, I was afraid to hear this. She isn't exactly QAnon. She used to be liberal, but now she's strongly anti-vax, thinking of homeschooling our daughter. Because the education system is grooming kids or whatever, anti-government, anti-Meghan Markle, it's a long list. Sorry about your brother. Unimpressed says, threatening divorce to force her into couples counseling is not the appropriate route. For couples counseling to work, both people need to be open and willing to do the work. Approach couples counseling as a team effort. It's something that could help you both better communicate and work together. Couples counseling doesn't solve relationship issues, but it can give you the tools to tackle the issues together. The rabbit hole of conspiracy is difficult to pull someone out of. It's almost like an addiction, and you can't force someone out of addiction if they don't want to give it up. Consider counseling for yourself as well. It may help you navigate this situation. Opie says, I feel like I don't even know how to talk to her anymore. She rants at me about things, but I haven't had a good conversation with her for the longest time. Appreciate what you said about getting counseling for myself. I've honestly been so overwhelmed. Raspberry says everyone is going to tell you to just divorce now, but if you really want to keep trying, I would frame it as her being too online. Don't question her insane conspiracy theories. Don't point out that she's become racist. Frame it as you are feeling disconnected as a couple because of how much time she spends online. So you're worried that you both are setting a bad example for your daughter and you don't want her growing up thinking being glued to a screen is normal. Propose a digital diet for the both of you, just like you'd propose a healthier diet to a partner. Tell her you'd like to do a 3-month or 1 month or whatever she agreed to experiment where you both radically reduce your time online. Take away your Wi-Fi router and put it in a lockbox. Change your phone plans to text and calls only, no data, or get a burner flip phones. Sign up to the local newspaper so you can stay on top of local events. If you can get her to agree to this and stick to it, take it as an opportunity to get her out touching grass and associating with new people again. Join a book club together, take classes together. Maybe if she can disconnect and rejoin the world, she'll have a chance. They are few and far between, but there are occasional stories of hope on r/QAnon casualties. You have to treat this like an addiction. Read the comments on this post. And it was a post on the QAnon casualties that was titled, "I was addicted to. Hopefully my perspective can be of help to someone out there." So it was 4 months later that OP came in to update the post and said, "Some of you helped me accept a reality I had been avoiding for a long time. My soon-to-be ex-wife was not going to get better, and I had to act to protect my daughter. I also want to specifically thank those who pointed me to the QAnon casualties sub. Reading other family stories and seeing how similar the patterns were was incredibly validating. It helped me understand that this wasn't something I could love or wait my way out of. I took the advice of some commenters and started documenting my ex's neglect of our daughter, her racism and extreme beliefs, and reached out to a divorce lawyer. I checked on our joint bank accounts as advised and discovered that she'd been withdrawing large sums of money from a joint account we opened early in our marriage for family vacations, etc., and that we had discussed using to eventually set up a college fund for our daughter when she was born. When I confronted her, she initially denied taking the money. When I demanded she show me where the money went, she went on a long rant about creating a better world. She admitted she had donated money to organizations like TPUSA, claiming they would create better schools and keep kids safe. She had also spent a significant amount on designer handbags, shoes, and clothing that she had hidden from me. The craziest thing is, she was also being scammed by someone she met through some royal gossip subreddit who claimed to have hired a private investigator to expose Meghan Markle. Apparently this person would send her negative articles about Meghan Markle and claim that the private investigator had discovered this information and sent it to the press, and my wife would send more money. She told me all of this as if it were completely reasonable and saw nothing wrong with it. I told her I was filing for a divorce, and at first she thought I was joking, but then exploded at me and began throwing things while ranting about me breaking up the family. A glass cup she threw hit me in the head. I left the house bleeding and went to my neighbors, who called the police. She had trashed the kitchen by the time the police showed up, and they arrested her after I explained what happened. I applied for and was granted a domestic violence restraining order, along with temporary custody of my daughter. My wife currently has supervised visitation only. She is facing a misdemeanor criminal charge related to the domestic battery incident, which is being handled in criminal court alongside the ongoing divorce proceedings. She is currently living with a former co-worker, and her family has reached out to express support for me and my daughter. I'm in the middle of divorce proceedings, and my lawyer believes I have a strong case for sole custody. This isn't how I ever imagined things ending, but I'm grateful I listened to the advice here when I did. My priority now is my daughter's safety, stability, and emotional well-being. Thank you to everyone who helped push me to act." And the top commenter said to OP, "As awful as it sounds, her hitting you with that glass might be the best thing to ever happen in this case. A CDV verdict is usually a massive help to securing custody. Best of luck to you and your kiddo, and hopefully your ex may be someday regaining their sanity." OP says, "My lawyer told me the same thing. Before we had discussed how family courts prefer joint custody arrangements, but we might have a chance if I could prove neglect. Her hitting me with the glass and acting as unhinged in front of the police really increased those chances. I'm just glad my daughter wasn't around when all this happened." All I can say on the back of this one is props to OP for taking care of his kid, because that's what truly matters in this situation, and himself obviously getting glassed in the head, fucking hell. But hopefully OP will be able to move on with some peace, some stability at some point in the future for his daughter. But what do you guys make of this situation? Holy moly. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon.